Welcome to another edition of the Superintendent Spotlight on Education in Avery County. With me today is Ms. Shelby Barrier. She is a math teacher at Avery High School, a graduate of Avery High School, and a graduate of Appalachian State University, where she obtained her bachelor's and master's in mathematics. Shelby, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And you're also the sponsor of Interact.
I
We talked
am,
to those
yes.
students just a little bit ago in another show. Tell me a little bit about what got you into mathematics and teaching that.
So math has always come easily to me. I've loved it. I love the process. So my students make fun of me because I love those problems that take an entire page to write out. Just the whole logic behind math. Teaching has always been something that I've always wanted to do as well. And so I took those two things that I love, combined them together, and I've enjoyed every day of it since.
Now, you have a kind of a summer job too, don't you?
I do.
Tell us about that real quick.
I work with the Highland Games. This is going to be my 12th year now. I've done the secretary position, work kind of behind the scenes. So that's summer after the day of school ends, and then up until the day of school starting, pretty much is Highland Games for me.
Take a second and give us a little advertisement for the Highland Games. When will it be this year, and what should people look for?
Okay, second full weekend of July. It's a great experience. We are one of the largest Highland Games in North America. We attract people from, I think we had 34 different states last year and 5 different countries. There's a little bit of culture for everyone to see. So it's a great experience. If you've never been, stop by.
It is great. I've been many times, and every year is a little bit unique.
It is.
It's
You can see
exciting.
some great things.
Yeah. That is, if the fog has not come in, you can see nothing.
I don't know.
which
Sometimes the
happens
fog is
yeah.
nice, though. Makes some pretty pictures.
Yes, it does. Shelby, there's a lot of talk about the teaching of math now, and especially with Common Core that came in about 3 years ago. Have you seen Common Core change high school math as much as, say, the teaching of math in elementary school?
Not as much the process of the math, the way that the content areas have changed. So we are now in the Math 1, Math 2, Math 3 setup, as opposed to Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2. And so with Math 1, 2, and 3, it kind of combines all 3 subjects so that there's a more fluid motion across the courses. For example, Math 1, you will start with functions. You'll do a little bit of geometry, a little bit of statistics. Math 2, you extend upon that. Math 3, even further. So it's not as just disjointed as before. It's more fluid.
And I know when I was in school, and probably you too, you did, if you're going to college, did Algebra 1, Algebra, or Geometry. You had to take Geometry between Algebra 1 and
Yes,
2, or
it's
no one
between
would
the
take
two.
Geometry. And then the fourth math was kind of whatever you wanted to, or you didn't even have to take it. Now you must have 4
You have to have
maths.
4.
So why do you think the change was to Math 1, 2, 3 instead of the Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, which most of us remember and are accustomed to?
I think that it was really about the process of learning. So it's taking developmentally where you are in your mind to putting those concepts in order. It's difficult coming into high school as a freshman and everything else that's going on and learning all this new math. So if you have Math 2, you can re-teach it almost in Math 2 and 3. And it really builds upon itself so that you can, by the time you graduate, hopefully have a solid understanding of the math as opposed to seeing it one time your freshman year and then never seeing it again. So I really think that they wanted to work on helping students to understand the concepts and not just see it once and never remember it.
Probably the main purpose of Common Core, whether you dislike it or you like it, it's more on process and product with Common Core. I'm going to ask you the question that you get often from your students. Why do I need to know this?
Oh, yes. Every day, every day.
At least 3 or 4 times a day.
Yes, and I really try to focus on using real-world examples when we're doing my classes. For example, right now, we just finished a project on exponential functions where students had to go and find a car ad for a car locally that they would buy, and then they had to talk about car loans and how they would use it and what the interest looks like and how much they would pay back. So everything that we do, I try to really relate that back to something that the students will use. And I tell them all the time, you may not use everything we learn, but you're really learning to be a mathematical thinker, which can help you problem solve later in life. So you may not use the specific skill, but your mind is developing ways to problem solve.
Being a former math teacher myself, you use it constantly.
You do. You don't even realize it, but you're using it.
If you had one piece of advice to give a student that's going to be coming into the high school, they're rising ninth grader, what would you tell them maybe to alleviate their fear of taking Math 1?
Oh, and see, that's an issue that I see. There's no confidence in the math.
Right.
Don't be afraid of it. It's okay to make mistakes. I tell my students all the time, it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to not try. So you have to make mistakes. You have to write things down. You have to erase. That's why we use pencils in math. Learn from your mistakes, though. So don't stress over the little things. If you don't understand, then let's find a way that can help you to understand it. Don't just believe that you can't get it, that you're not a math person, because I believe that everyone can be a math person if you go about it the right way.
So you're one of those real math teachers that do not allow them to use pens in class.
Oh, I try, but then at this time of the year, there's no pencils left, and sometimes you just have to write with what you can find.
I always tell them you have to have an eraser. You can't erase pens.
Yes, that's
well,
true.
Talk about parents. What would you tell parents to alleviate their concern about the
yes.
child coming to high school? And most parents tell me, I can't do that math, and I can understand. They hadn't had the math. They hadn't done it in many, many years. So what do you tell a parent to calm their fears?
Don't be afraid to communicate with the teacher. I love to communicate with my parents. I email them and call them usually in the first week of school. Anytime you have questions, please call. If you would like to sit down and understand what your child's doing, I would love to actually sit down and teach you the math. So don't be afraid to contact your children and your teachers together. Sit down, just have a conversation. Encourage your students to study, encourage them to do their homework, encourage them to ask questions. Don't just let them tell you they don't know what they're doing and just go off and not make those grades that you know that they can do. So really encourage your students.
Or don't let them tell you, I don't have any homework
Oh,
tonight.
yes. Always check. And I have great parents who, with Haiku, with our learning management system, keep it up to date. They can check their homework every day. So I have a lot of parents who will even go ahead and look at what we're doing in the future and make sure that their students are working on stuff. So,
Shelby, you mentioned Haiku. I'm sure there's a lot of people will be listening just really don't know what that is, and you can understand because it's something fairly new to us.
Yes.
We've been using it a few years, but what is Haiku? How's it used, and how can a parent use that to really keep track of what their child is doing?
yes. So Haiku is an online, it's called a learning management system. Basically, it's a place that you can put any type of content. So you can attach files, you can have words, you can have discussion panels, polls, you can even do testing on there. I've attached videos, web links to other websites. It's also where I put all of my grades in. So students can check grades at any time. Parents also have a login to Haiku, so they can go in and they can see what their students are learning, they can see assignments, they can see the actual links, and they can check grades. So it's all, I update my Haiku every day. Sends out an email. Every teacher has a Haiku. All of our grades are through it. So it's one place where you can go and see exactly what your student's doing at any time.
So as a parent, if you're concerned about your child's grade, you can see them constantly.
Yes, anytime. As soon as the grades are put in, it's live, and you can see grades in every class.
In Avery County, as a lot of people know, we're a one-to-one school system, meaning that every one of our middle and high school students have a laptop computer that they take home and they use in class. Math is probably one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult subject to integrate the technology.
It is.
How do you integrate technology into your class, engaging those students and making it exciting for them?
So there's a lot of great resources online now. I mean, there's so many schools that are going one-to-one, so you can find resources that other people have used. But today, for example, while I'm here, my kids are working on, it's called a Nearpod. It's a free program that it shows videos. They're working on constructions, and they're using a compass for the first time. So it's interactive, and that they are going to have pictures, and they're going to use their MacBooks to draw on it, and it comes back to me automatically. So I can assess what they're doing. But then they can watch videos, and they can use little apps that they move around, and they could use matching, they can drop and drag. There's a lot of really great programs that work with math online as well.
If I'm a parent and I really don't understand the concept my child comes home with that they're trying to do homework on, are there resources out there that they could get from using the MacBook to do a little tutoring for them.
Oh, definitely. There's some really great websites. Khan Academy is completely free, has videos on every type of math subject you could think of. There's also some great, I list, usually at the every beginning of every unit on my Haiku page, I list just links for resources. Just type in a quick Google search of whatever concept it is, and you can find really quick, easy tutorials. So there's always ways to learn and to look at steps and to get things from the resources provided.
Put on your math hat along with counseling a little bit.
Okay.
We're in the process of completing registration.
Yes.
And rising ninth graders coming in. You have those students that maybe their math skills are not where they want them to be. They need a little extra help. You have to have the 4 math classes to graduate. What would you tell that student to take freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year?
So in the past, we've done a year-long math. So we start with the Foundations of Math 1. That's a class for the students who may want to build up those skills. It's done in this fall. You really build up those basic skills that you're going to need in Math 1, 2, and 3, and then in the spring, you easily transition into the Math 1 content. From there, you go on to Math 2, Math 3, and then your fourth option, there's different options. Mostly there's discrete math, and then you can go into pre-calc and on further from there. But that year-long math has been helpful. I've seen a lot of students who just need to brush up on those skills do really well with that.
Let's say I'm a high flyer. Math is for me. I love math, and I took Math 1 in the 8th grade. What does my high school courses look like?
We have a lot of students who take Math 1 in the 8th grade. They come into Math 2. It's actually Honors Math 2 as freshmen. So you start off with the Honors Math course, then you go on to Honors Math 3, pre-calc your junior year, and then that leads into calculus, which we partner with Malin for calculus, so you can get some college credit with that. There's also in the past been some statistics offered, some AP courses. So there's a few options for that 4th or 5th course. But those students who really love math, you can go far with math. I actually graduated with 2 credits in math from Avery High School, 2 college credits. So that was very nice.
That helps mom and dad's pocketbook a
It does,
lot.
yes.
What could you say to our listening audience maybe to encourage some of the young people out there to become a math teacher? We need them.
We do. Math is so much fun. If you can just, I don't know, give me a problem and it makes me happy. But math, even if you struggle with it, once it clicks, it's this magical moment that you're just like, wow, this all makes sense. And then it just builds upon itself. And seeing those students who maybe have struggled in math a long time finally get a concept, those are moments that it's so worth it. So if you ever want to see one of those moments, become a math teacher, because it's great. And it always happens. At least once a year I have a student, wow, I've never got math before, but this year there's something about it that I understand why we do this now.
That aha moment.
That aha moment. It's great.
Plus, if you want a job straight out of college,
Yes.
be a math or science teacher, there'll be jobs waiting.
There are.
Shelby, thank you. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
the job you do, and I wish for you a great finish of the school year.
Thank
you.